If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of Mind Pump.
Hello.
Of course, we talk all about fitness, health, building muscle, burning body fat, making your life better. But we also have a lot of fun. Here's what we talked about in the first introductory part of this episode. We covered the bottle cap challenge. It is taking the internet
by storm.
People are finding different ways of taking bottle caps off of bottles.
Ways, Sal.
I like to use my hands. I like to do it the old school way.
Boring.
We announced the winner of the PRx home gym giveaway.
Hooked up.
We had like 10,000 people enter into the contest to win a power cage that folds into the wall, weight rack with weights, a barbell, a bench that is adjustable. Basically the same exact setup that Justin has in his house. We gave away to somebody, so you might want to listen in to this episode to see if you won. Now, PRx is one of our sponsors. They make the best home gym equipment that requires the least amount of space in your house. It's all put together professionally. This is industrial grade stuff. So here's what you do if you want to check them out.
Super non-invasive.
Go to prxperformance.com/mindpump and use the promo code mindpump. You'll get 5% off whatever you buy, plus a free MAPS Prime program with the purchase over $500. Then I talked about the ChiliPad that I just got in the mail. I'm about to try it out. Now, the ChiliPad cools your bed down or warms it up, and both sides are independent. So if you or your wife are different, as you probably are, you can have different temperatures on each side of the bed. Now, ChiliPad is also one of our sponsors, and we have a discount for you. If you go to chilitechnology.com, that's CHILI technology.com/mindpump. On that site, you'll have a code for a discount off of either one of their products. Then we give a whole recap of our live event in San Francisco. We got to meet a lot of you guys in person. We really appreciate you guys. We had a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, Adam cried.
Yeah, that happened.
And then he also gives us some newborn hacks. He's only, 10 days into being a father, and he's now an expert. So he gives you guys some hacks for your newborns. We talked about digital clothes. Your favorite Instagram influencer is not even wearing the clothes that they're selling in the picture.
Are they even real?
It's all CGI. And finally, KFC, the makers of the healthiest food on the planet, just kidding.
Trusted source.
Now have a chicken sandwich with Cheetos in them, apparently.
Surprising.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Lucky Charms version. Pretty sure that's coming next. Then we get into the fitness questions. Here's the first question. This person wants to know, is it better to add activity or decrease calories if you're trying to burn body fat while preserving muscle? So which one's better? Move more or eat less?
It's an age-old debate, Sal.
Yes, we actually get into depth in that part of this episode. The next question, this person wants to know about essential amino acids. Now, we've already pooped all over BCAAs, branched-chain amino acids, and talked about how if you're eating adequate protein, it's kind of a waste of money. But what about essential amino acids? People are selling those things and saying that they do everything from build muscle to giving you better boners.
Sounds essential, Sal.
Yeah, should you be supplementing with those, or are they also a complete waste of money? I'm pretty sure you can guess what we say. The next question, how do you deal with the feeling of hypocrisy as a fitness person when you're enjoying food or drinks that aren't normally in your routine? And how do you deal with the guilt of eating those things afterwards? So a lot of you are trying to become more fit and healthy, but you find sometimes you go out, you have some drinks, you eat some pizza or whatever, and then you feel terrible about yourself afterwards. We've said it before, the psychology aspect of nutrition and fitness is the most important aspect, and that's the aspect that I think we communicate the best because we've worked with so many regular people. So you're not going to want to miss that part of this episode. And the final question, this person wants to know the best way to add value before getting someone to hire them as a personal trainer. So if you're a personal trainer and you want to become more successful as a personal trainer, you will not want to miss the final question of this episode.
Become a warlock.
This month, all month long, one of our most popular programs ever, MAPS Anywhere, is 50% off. Now, MAPS Anywhere is unique because it requires no gym access. You could do it at home. You can do it on the road, in a hotel room. It's also extremely effective. We racked our brains creating the best program possible to build muscle and burn body fat that requires no equipment whatsoever. And, of course, it's 50% off. So here's what you do to get the discount. Go to mapswhite.com. That's MAPSWHITE.com. And use the code ANYWHERE50. That's ANYWHERE50, no space, for the discount. Do it quick because this promotion will not be back until next year.
T-shirt time!
And it's T-shirt time.
Oh, shit, Doug. You know it's my favorite time of the week.
He's back.
Well, it's nice
He's
to have you
back.
back.
I love it.
Yeah, I heard Justin.
Did you hear it? What'd you think?
Yeah, it's good, pretty good.
Yeah,
dude.
I tried.
It's not, that's
I
not
tried.
bad. Not
It's
bad.
not quite Adam, but it's almost.
Well, we have 3 winners for iTunes and 2 for Facebook. The winners for iTunes, Ella K. Johnson, Don Sepsi, Loving It. And for Facebook, Laura Lee Cheney, Sean Rutherford. All of you are winners. Send the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and include your Instagram handle, and we'll get that shirt right out to you.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see that? What's her name? Anami or Amami?
Oh, God. The bottle
Did you see
cap.
the bottle? First of all,
yes.
the bottle cap challenge is going crazy. First of all, everybody's doing
I knew it would.
weird shit, backflips and knocking the cap off. And I saw a skateboarder do like a kick flip and then hit the cap off with a skateboard. And
What do you guys think was the best one the craziest or the best one you've seen?
the girl I was about to tell you right now.
I don't think so.
You know what she did? So she's a sex expert. So what she did, she's wearing a dress. Okay, she's standing in front of the bottle. She lifts her dress a little bit, so you don't see everything, but you just see she kind of lifts it.
Yeah, kind of
She
squats over.
She squats over it,
Yeah.
and apparently puts the cap in her body,
Yeah.
and removes the cap,
Did she unscrew it or just,
pops it off,
keister
and
it?
then she spits it out.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa,
That's some
this
control.
thing has gone out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got some
I actually
muscular-
reached out to that lady like maybe a year and well, it's probably been longer than that now because I think it was even before this studio, like 2.5 years ago, to have her on the show.
Yeah, I talked to her. I talked to her too recently.
Yeah.
See if we'll I might get her on the phone and talk a little bit. About
Yeah, I just don't. We'll see. Well, I don't know how great of podcast content it would. I mean, definitely visually, I think it's a cool thing. But because she hangs things from her vagina too, like rocks and like
she
heavy.
trains it like legit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well,
so-
those muscles are, I mean, besides the circus act type of stuff, which I know she's doing to, kind of promote the strength of these muscles, but those are important muscles to be stronger, especially after you have a baby.
Right.
A lot of women, after having children, lose control of their bladder almost, and they run or they jog. Or I remember, do you guys ever do this when you guys did your boot camp classes or you taught group classes?
yeah.
Some women are like, I can't do jumping jacks.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, because that would happen.
Yeah, so those muscles are important to strengthen and whatnot, but I don't know about the whole weights thing.
Yeah, you know what my favorite one was? I think it was this guy was doing like a breakdancing move and did all these like spins and then he spun off his head and then like came back and his foot caught it like perfect.
I
It was
think
pretty
Justin's
crazy.
was the best, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Yeah, ours was the funniest. for sure.
That was just mocking.
Yeah, as I say,
You know
we
what I
started
mean?
the mocking. Now
Yeah.
you see a bunch of people mocking. But I thought the one that was fucking crazy was the dude that opened it up with one of the off-road racing cars.
Oh, he comes in and does
I
like
didn't
a
see that.
That was crazy.
he does like a
Really?
180 in the
so
car.
a buddy goes like this. He stands out and he's standing. He's holding it out in front, extending his arm in front of him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hear this woo, and here comes this off-road vehicle come flying around the corner, full speed at this dude, and then whips a 180, and the back end of the truck hits the cap and spins the cap off. That was crazy.
That's not safe.
I feel exactly.
Yeah, the balls that it takes to be the guy holding that.
Man.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. You challenge extreme people, like a Travis Pastrana or somebody out there. They're gonna just like shit on whatever you try to do.
we have to think of the next challenge because they go viral. You know what I mean? Yeah. We got to think of something.
Yeah, but what happens from that? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We did a thing.
Yeah.
Remember that?
We're the bottle cap guy. Who wants to be noticed?
That's true. Nobody. Who's the first guy to do that? Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, nobody knows. Who did it?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah. Who,
I don't think you ever know. Do you think about that? That's how crazy it is. It's probably somebody random starts it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of,
And they get a famous person to just try it, then it goes viral.
I'll tell you something that I love. Will Smith. Will Smith posts great stuff all the time, and he posted this thing. I can't wait to do this with Maximus. he posted well, it was a lady's page, but it was the father and daughter, and he's got the daughter in a laundry basket, and the daughter's probably looks like she's about 2 years old, I would guess, and she's in the laundry basket on his thighs. And they have a big screen TV, and it's
a roller coaster,
first person roller coaster, and he's doing the as it turns, and he's vibrating it as it click 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 click, click goes up, and then it was so great to watch.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Oh, the kid was all into it.
Dude,
I thought
that fathers have been doing a version of that.
I do that with airplane on my legs.
Yeah, we've been you do a version of that for I don't know, thousands of years probably.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do with little kids is have them pretend that they're doing some flying or some weird shit.
Right, I just never seen anybody combine it with the big
like
screen.
VR.
Yeah, because that's what it looks
next
like.
Level right there. Yeah.
Kids all real close to TV. You look like you're going out. It's like Star Tours, but it's a homemade version. I thought that was pretty clever.
Dude,
getting them ready.
You want to know what's so years ago? My cousin was I don't know. He was young. He was like 4, 3 maybe. And do you guys remember that maze challenge? You just reminded me of. Remember that maze challenge on the computer that you're trying to go around the maze and then the maze gets skinnier and skinnier. Every time you hit the wall, you lose. But you make it to the end, but then all of a sudden a scary-ass fucking face pops on the screen and it screams at you hell loud.
Yeah, because you're like hyper-focused on the screen and then they show some like horror image.
Yeah, and the thing is you'd send it to your friends to fuck with them because then they're trying to and it makes you jump out of your chair and there's all these videos of people like fall. So,
that was funny.
So my fucked up ass brother did it to my 4-year-old cousin years ago.
Oh my God.
Yes, scared. He almost got his ass kicked by my cousin's dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
rightly so.
Yeah, because he got so scared he lost his breath. I'm like, bro.
Dude, he's gonna have nightmares for like the second half of his childhood.
You don't do that to 4-year-olds.
Yeah, dude, come on, man.
That's something, and that's something like in like a guy's like in his late teens, early 20s, and he's trying to be cool with little kids, but doesn't know the line.
There's no threshold.
Well, that's like that story I told you guys we did to my little brother where we made him write his will because the sky was changing. But I was like 9, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's terrible.
Did I tell you what happened?
Write his will as a crayon.
Did I tell you that my sister
I leave my ponies too. I'm sorry.
Did I tell you guys that my sister met up with this is my stepbrother who lives in Colorado, and he was coming through town in Tahoe where my sister lives in Reno, which is near Tahoe. And my stepbrother decided to stop and visit my sister. Now, we don't get a chance to see my stepbrother that often because he's been in Colorado for a long time. And so he catches up with my sister, and they haven't caught up in years. And she said it was a great visit. They're talking, and she brings up to me, she goes, you know what's crazy? Remember that time where she tells me about the time that I did this? Motherfucker is 30, let's see here, my brother is 3 years younger than me, so he's 35 years old, and talks about like, oh yeah, no, for years. He goes, still to this day, I get anxiety when the sky is like crazy.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, bro. Just fucking broke my heart, dude. Just feel like such a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? I was like 9 though, dude. I was like 8 or 9 years old. You do some.
I told a long time. I told like I was throwing acorns at some poor girl because I wanted to get first in line, like for the bus stop. Shit like that. You do as a kid, you think back like, oh, it's a terrible human being.
Yes. It's just a little permanent damage.
A little bit.
But if you're like if you're in your teens and you're 20, you're like, that's a little too. That's a little too far.
Same brother.
Yeah, but you're still thinking about it.
Same brother. When he was in 5th grade, he had a crush on this girl who, by the way, I told the story before. I'm gonna tell it again though. By the way, this girl ended up turning into like an international model. So she's like stunning today, current times or whatever. But anyway, in 5th grade, he had a huge crush on her. And what do you do when you're in 5th grade and you have a crush on a girl?
Poke them, you throw shit.
Yeah, you fuck with them or whatever.
Fire, all that stuff.
Well, they were running to get in line because the bell rang, and he thought it would be funny to trip her, and she broke both her arms. So,
oh shit!
Yeah, she fell.
I've never heard you tell that story.
Yeah, she
broke
both. Broke both.
No, she didn't.
Dude. I swear to God, she
horrible.
fell forward and broke both of her arms.
What?
Yes, in 5th grade. So for like,
oh man, that's awful.
She had to have surgery, I think, on him. So she had to sit there with 2 broken arms, and he felt so bad.
I bet he felt
Bro, what about the
mortified,
dad?
dude.
Like the dad had to have been. I mean, someone tripped my daughter and she breaks both arms.
My brother
he likes her.
He had to write her homework for her until she got better. Here's the best part, right? She ends up turning into this model. He always has a crush on her afterwards.
Yeah.
And I always fuck with him. I'm always like, hey, bro, she'll never date you.
Yeah,
You broke her heart, bro. I don't give a fuck how awesome you think you are. You're the guy that broke her arms in 5th grade.
I've never heard you tell that story.
He's like,
That's crazy.
He sets it up. He's like, have a nice trip.
She got over it real quick because it was an accident, but he was still this day. If I bring it up, you could see the pain in his face. So that's why I always hold that in my back pocket. You know what I mean? When stuff starts happening, I'll bring that up. Anyway, dude,
horrible.
are we announcing the winner of the PRx giveaway?
Yeah, my exact setup.
Man, what
is it?
What an incredible get! First of all, shout out to PRx for hooking up Justin's complete setup, which is
So what are we giving away?
It was an awesome giveaway.
It was a squat rack, the folding squat rack that goes into the wall.
Yep.
Very low profile, sturdy. Bench that folds into the wall.
Right.
Barbell,
all the
weights.
the weights that rack on the wall with that. The foldable bench, like pretty much the exact same thing I got.
So they're getting all that
Yeah.
for free.
which is valued well over $1,000. Plus, we did the super bundle.
And they got a super bundle.
Yeah,
Boom.
which
All
is
right.
another $400 something. So the combination of this thing was
We had
hell of a giveaway.
thousands and thousands and
Almost
thousands
10,000.
of entries.
Yeah, almost
into this
10,000.
contest.
Holy moly.
So Doug has the winner. Doug's going to announce the winner, and if this is you, how do they claim their prize? Who do they contact?
You're 1 in 10,000.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Shoot an email to admin@mindpumpmedia.com.
And tell them that
Yeah,
you're the
and they'll-
PRX giveaway winner.
Yes.
All right.
And then
Who
we'll
is
look
it?
out for you posting.
All right. The winner is Scott Sims.
Mm.
Scott Sims!
Scott Sims, come
you're
on
the
down.
next
Come
one
on down.
Price is Right.
Dave, can we put some Prices Right music right there?
We just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a freaking awesome win.
No, that's a big come up.
Can you imagine winning the equipment for your garage or whatever?
Well, what I'm really excited about is that
Get
this has
after
been
it.
something
Skeet.
Taylor
Sorry.
has been. Whoa.
I got excited. That's the song.
Obviously.
That's the song. I'm going back to the song. Anyway.
I know that Taylor's been working on this for a while now, and so look out. If you're not following the Mind Pump Media Instagram page, you should be, because I think that we're going to start doing some pretty massive giveaways like this on a regular basis. That's the idea. The idea is that we've got quite a few partners we work with now, and we've been going back and forth for a long time. That I feel like when you see a lot, especially in the fitness space, you see a lot of these giveaways, and it's like, oh, you're a pre-workout and some
cool.
protein powder. It's like, get the fuck out of here with this shit.
I got a
This shit-
stringer.
Yeah,
Sweet.
so lame. So that was something we agreed that I don't want to do that.
We're trying to give away some fucking
badass shit.
Yes.
Yes,
badass shit.
Speaking of which, finally came in my king size ChiliPad.
Ah,
You were the one that held out. See, me and Adam are like, we're going right now. I'll take the twin.
But you guys got the twins.
Yeah.
I got the king size one for my house.
you're the last one of the party, man.
I can't wait. As soon as I get home, I'm gonna put it on. Jessica's out of town right now, so she's gonna come home, get surprised with the ChiliPad.
So I've learned some hacks with that. So you want to wait. You don't need to run it all day long. Although I have ran it all day long just to see if it did anything to my bill, and it doesn't. It's like, so the amount of power, it doesn't
Minimal.
Yeah, it's so minimal. So you could run it all day, but it doesn't need to. So what I do is maybe 2 hours before, or when I get home from work, 5, 6 o'clock at night or something, when I come in the house, I'll go upstairs or turn it on my app and then fire it up real quick. And then by the time I hit bed, it's like ice cold in there. And then it does a really good job of managing it. The thing that you need to know, and the mistake that I made when I first got, because I'm like every typical guy, I just opened it from the box, threw it under, and just started using it instead of reading instructions or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you actually, because it doesn't have a super high power motor and it doesn't suck a lot of energy, it won't, and your body temperature is so hot. So if you get in there and your body temperature is 90 something degrees, and you expect it to cool it down to 55 or whatever temperature, your 60, whatever you like it at, all night long it'll be working and it'll never get down to that temperature. But if it's already really cold,
Then you get in.
then
It's easier.
then it manages it perfectly.
Doesn't have to fight all
Yes.
night. Okay.
So that's the trick, is to get it to the temperature that you want it at before you get into bed, because then it'll manage it at that temperature all night long and perfect for you. But if you wait to turn it on when you go to bed, you'll be and it still helps. Don't get me wrong. It's still cool. It'll feel better than being under the hot blankets without anything. but then it'll never get down to the coolest temperature.
Now
that
it
you
can
want
also
to.
heat
Yeah,
the
I've
bed up.
noticed that.
Yes,
It also can heat it up.
which would be weird to do that right now.
Yeah, well, in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some people, because it's got two sides to it. And,
Yeah.
and Jessica is like, it's too cold, always too cold in here.
Right.
And I like to sleep in a cooler bed. Now, I'm not like you,
Polar
freaking,
bears.
yeah,
Yeah.
snowmen.
Yeah.
But I do like it much cooler than she does. So her, I'm sure at some point she'll be heating her side up, and mine will be.
That's like when
cooling
we
down.
travel. Like why I love to stay with Justin. That's why I request him every time when Katrina does all the rooms. I'm like, set me up with Justin because he likes it like
Make
polar
the
bear.
right climate.
Hey,
First thing we do when we get in that room, whether it's him or me, it's like
I
all the way
ice
down.
it down.
I don't give a fuck. You can combine the snorer and the freaking heavy breather in the same room all day long. I sleep with Doug. Doug is the quietest, most gentle sleeper of all
Like a
time.
mouse?
Oh, he's just so, and he sleeps. He smiles when he sleeps. He's got
smiles.
He's got this very pleasant look on his face when he sleeps. I'm down. I don't mind, and we share a bed. It's all good, right?
So
Doug?
you're getting your setup. You're getting your setup today, yeah. So
I'm gonna go put it in tonight.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm curious to hear what temperature you keep it at and what temperature.
What do you
she
keep it
keeps
at?
That'd be interesting.
I drop all the way to the as low as it'll go, which I think is like 52.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I go like 58 as my sweet spot. Yeah, but I've noticed the same thing as Adam. Like I have to go like a 2 hour at least ahead of time to make sure it gets cool enough. I've done 1 hour and I had to like turn the fan on. Like I've noticed I've been able to eliminate having to use a fan because during the summer and all that, I have to have some kind of air movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we walked in today. I walked in with my kids today because they're obviously not in school, so they're out there working or messing around. I don't know. But anyway, we walked in.
You got them washing windows. Don't you?
Yeah. You got to give him something to do,
That's good.
especially my son because he'll, he's 14, so he'll just be
Earn
on
your
his,
keep.
He'll be on his phone this whole time. Which is
Everyone's gonna be
stupid.
like, what was the secret of Mind Pump's success? Oh, we all had kids.
Yeah. Free labor.
Yeah, man.
But we walk in and my daughter sees the box of the ChiliPad and it says chili
Yeah.
on the side, and she looks at it and she looks at me and she's like,
A massive box.
she's like, you got a big box just of chili? I'm like,
Yeah, all Hormel.
yeah, it's not that kind. It's not that kind. Anyway, dude,
Ready to eat.
the San Francisco live event that we did, amazing. I can.
That was a fun one.
I like them better. I like them from the first one we did, but each time we do one, I like them more and more. And this one was special to me because I had my cousin Giuseppe and his wife Sarah, my friend Angela and her husband, my cousin Gabriel and his fiance, my cousin Alex and his girlfriend, my brother, my brother-in-law. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I had a bunch of
You had
family
a
there.
squad in the back.
Oh,
You
yeah,
could
you had-
see them all.
You had the Guido Patrol in the back.
That's it, man. It was awesome.
But it was nice to have my family be there, to just, I don't know, just to see us in our element. And I got really good feedback from them. They really enjoyed it. So that felt really good for me to because every time we'd say something, I look back and I see my cousins in the back. It was weird. You know what I mean? See my family. But
yeah.
every time we do those events, I feel such a renewed sense of two things. Integrity. I always like it always grounds me really, really. It's funny whenever you do something, anything that you do, and it starts to become very successful. I don't care who you are. I don't care how self-aware you are or how humble you think you are. You do start to lift off the ground a little bit. You do start to feel a little bit of an inflated sense of self, and it just starts to happen because things start to do well for you. Meeting people in person, seeing the people in person, hearing their stories, fucking grounds the shit out of me, humbles me, and then I have this like renewed sense every time we get on the podcast. And this last one was one of the best ones I think that we did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
especially still all these stories like people come in with, and like something that you've said that impacted them at a crucial time where they, that's the kind of stuff that I just I don't realize. I don't realize when we say something. I forget a lot of times what we've talked about on this podcast. There's been over 1,000 episodes of us just back and forth, like discussing things. And, sometimes it's the most random thing somebody's listening to at the time, and it impacted them in such a positive way. And I'm so glad it was positive and not, negative. So.
Yeah. Well, in 4 years of doing Mind Pump, we have never seen Adam get emotional, and then he became a father.
I know.
And it's so funny, dude.
Bro, I did not see that coming at all.
Dude, I tell you what, bro, when you have a kid, because at the end of the event, Adam answered a question, and it was very heartfelt, and he got emotional, and he got a standing ovation, for being so open. But it's weird, man. Having a kid, doesn't it just open you up strangely to where you feel more?
Fuck, I guess. I mean, I
Is that what that is?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it wasn't like that deep. I've been asked way more personal questions. I feel like I've talked about. I mean, I've told that similar story before, but for some reason, man, it did. It just got. And I don't know, because we were talking about the compassion and love that we have for each other. And maybe that this just recently having my son and feeling that love on a whole nother level, maybe it just made me, I don't know. It was just, I wasn't ready for that at all. And it blindsided me as I was answering the question. I probably would have picked a different story if I would have known that. I didn't know I was going to cry. I was like, oh God, dude, no way. I couldn't.
Abandoned ship.
Yeah, I was like, I can't get out of this.
You're going to cry, then I'm going to cry. No, it was amazing.
Out of all the live events, that was the first person to get me like that. I mean, I hadn't got
Don't
that.
start a challenge.
Now
people are going to get Adam to cry.
That was funny too, that every event we do is totally different too, which is cool. I think that's what makes it really fun for me, is that you never know what to expect. Every time I get a different story from somebody, and I get to meet new people, and like you said, Sal, it definitely grounds me. It totally humbles me. And this one, the questions were, I normally the questions I feel like are very personal. These are people that have listened to a lot of shows and have heard and read a lot of the stuff and own all the programs and have read all the guys. I mean, I feel like they've consumed a lot of the fitness science information from us, and they tend to ask more personal stuff. And I enjoy that. It's just a different conversation. We talk a lot of fitness most of the time.
Yeah.
But the first 4 or 5 questions were like, physical therapist comes up and wants to ask
Dude, challenging us.
We got a legit physical therapist who's stumped trying to rehab someone. So he's asking us a rehab question for one of his patients, and we're like, yeah, I don't know, buddy. So, we don't know the answer to that. That's a difficult
That's a tricky one.
Yeah. No, but the story that you shared, I forgot about it, and when you brought it up, I totally remembered. And that was a great story. And just so that the listeners know what the hell we're talking about, so we're not talking over their head or whatever.
Yeah, inside jokes.
Yeah, it was a great story of that Adam shared about.
Well, the question was what? What was the question? The question was
like most memorable moments off air, behind the scenes.
Oh, that's right.
Right. And it was the time that because we've talked about this in the past. Off air, we don't. People hear us on air and we sound like we agree and we get along all the time. But off air, there's oftentimes when we disagree on things, and this was relatively early on in Mind Pump days, where I don't remember and you're right, I don't even remember what the issue was, but Adam and I got into a very heated debate and argument where we were just going back and forth, and the thing about, and this is such a great example because. And this is why I respect you guys so much, is that we can go at each other open. Like, I'm not like keeping it censored or keeping it in because I think I'm going to hurt your feelings.
Right. Yeah.
We're being like, because I'm confident that you're not going to get your feelings hurt. I'm confident that we're going to resolve it and that I'll be heard. Even if you disagree with me, you at least hear me. And so we went at each other. And I remember this was a day where Justin and Doug were kind of sitting back and like, oh, fuck, what's going on here? And then after when we left, 10 minutes later, I sent Adam a text just telling him how much I respect him and the fact that even though we disagree and we're yelling and fighting, that doesn't mean I don't respect him. And I actually respect the fact that he's very open and whatever. And that's the moment that he shared. And, the thing you said was at that moment, you knew that we would really succeed.
Yeah, well, I knew that... to have other partners that felt so strongly and passionately about what we're doing, and because the argument wasn't about us making more. It was like what was right for the business. What is right for the business and for the listeners and the customers and the things that in the direction that we should be going. And what I loved about it was that it was a very good argument, and both people had an incredible points and just were very passionate about it. And most importantly, afterwards, there was nothing about our egos. It wasn't about, I didn't leave the place like mad at Sal. We left, and then he sent a long message to me, and I responded back, and it was I was like, man, this will, if we have this where every crossroad we have an opinion and we're passionate about it and we have the ability to speak passionately to each other with no holds bar, and then to have a love and a respect for each other 10 minutes later, and like honestly be able to express it. Because it's one thing to be like, oh, I respect the guy, I needed a day or two to calm down, and then it was like instantly, just because we were yelling at each other over the business thing, I didn't lose any respect or less love for you. In fact, I gained more for you, and it was mutually felt at like the same time. And that was a major moment.
It's extremely rare to find people that you respect so much. Like, think about this right now. If you're listening, think about how many people in your life could come up to you and tell you you're fucking up. Imagine that. Think of all the people in your life that could actually sit down in front of you and tell you, hey, you're acting like an asshole right now, or hey, you're being lazy, or hey, you're hating you, with honesty right where it hurts. How many people in your life would you allow to talk to you that way and then still respect them afterwards? I bet you not very many, maybe no one.
It's even more rare these days, I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is amazing that we had that, we have that for each other, because I don't let just anybody call me out. Like, if somebody calls me out, I have to kind of respect you. Otherwise, like, who are you to call me out or whatever? Yeah. My ego will instantly get, defensive. But the fact that we can do that and Sal was a great example that you brought up.
Yeah.
Of that question. I thought it was the best answer of the evening, so commend you on that.
I did not expect to cry, and I guess Max has turned. I mean, I remember saying that I didn't want a girl because I thought the girl, I was like, if I have a daughter, it's going to make me hella soft. We got a business to run. I can't be all soft. But it looks like it doesn't matter what sex. It doesn't matter what sex it was. Yeah. The baby boy made me just as emotional.
It melts your heart, bro. There's nothing you can do.
Speaking of the baby boy, this was on my mind today, and I thought, I've been so engulfed in him for the last week.
Bro, you are obsessed. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Every day there's at least 3 pictures Adam will send, and they're all the same. His kid's laying on his sleeping on him.
With little man.
Literally, that's all you're doing all day. I love it.
Exactly what
I hope he never grows out of this. I'm going to try and keep him.
Bro, now you're going to, you know what's funny? You're going to start to, you're not yet, it's too early, but then you start to get sad as they move out of phases.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's stupid. You know what kills me? Stupid Facebook will pop up hey, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and I'll look at a picture of my kids when they were 5 years ago, and I'm like, I'm going to fucking cry right now. This is just terrible. So stupid. Anyway.
That's engineering.
I want to hear your hacks.
Yeah, so we got, everything. I really think we have everything. I think we have everything from 0 to, 3-year-old that we think we would need. And it's because I've got a ton of support, family and friends, and even like fans. I mean, I've had a ton of stuff sent to the house on a pretty every day. Amazon hits my house 2 or 3 times, and
That's so cool. Man.
Oh, it's cool. It's crazy. It's getting a little overwhelming. It's now taking over my complete spare room. I have nothing but all these box stuff. So I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm telling Katrina, I said, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm like, we couldn't even possibly use all this stuff if we tried. And we're working our way through things. And so what I wanted to share on the podcast is I'm like, what I'll do is as we go through this stuff, because I appreciate the people that sent it to us and be like, hey, and it's the best things are the things that come from like, new mothers, someone who's recently been a mother in the last year to 3 years or currently right now. And they send over these gifts and they're like, hey, I know this wasn't on your registry or whatever like that. This was a game changer for me. Try it out, do this. So I've got 3 of them right now when I think of the things that we use the most that has been like a major help for like Katrina. One of them is the My Best Friend nursing pillow. So that was given to us by...
Is that the one that goes around the body kind of thing?
Yes.
Oh, I've seen
it
that.
wraps around you and it kind of like belts and Velcros
so you can lay
in.
there right on the boob.
Yeah, and it's just, Katrina uses the shit out of that. And we have it's kind of like a better version of the Boppy or whatever. Right? Boppies have been around forever, which is kind of a similar thing. But we have 2 or 3 Boppies. She never uses those. She uses that My Best Friend pillow thing or whatever. That thing has been... she uses that every single time she nurses. The other thing that was big, and I believe it was also a hack from her girlfriend and our friend Janet, the Haka breast pump. So after her milk has let down and she's been engorged, one of the things that is hard for her is that she'll be nursing one side and the other side is in so much pain and or starts to like leak on the baby. So this is like it's not a automated pump where you put it on and then it pumps out of her. It actually just suctions on her, and then it just naturally creates a little bit of suction and just lets it drip into it, and it'll fill up like a good amount in there. It relieves her. So it gets that breast primed. It relieves her of the pressure. Also keeps it from spilling all over him. And it's like a cheap, small thing.
It's called the haka?
Yeah, HA.
Isn't that New Zealand's tribal dance they do before a rugby game?
Booby, ah!
Booby, ha, suck.
Yeah, it's HAAKKA, I believe is how you spell. I think that's how you spell it. It's a haka breast pump. And then the last one was actually a gift from Taylor and Rachel. They got it's called a DocaTot, and it's basically just like a portable bed. I mean, it's what I've taken pictures. You've seen him laying in that.
Yeah. It's got that like little border, so he doesn't roll out.
Exactly. It has borders around it, so he doesn't roll out. It's really lightweight and convertible and soft. So we take it. So that thing is, I mean, we haven't even used he hasn't slept in his bassinet. He hasn't slept in his crib.
Is that all? Is that what he sleeps in?
Yeah, he sleeps.
So what do you guys do? Do you guys put it in the bed with you guys?
Yeah, in the middle of us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so and I know there's like all different camps on how you should or shouldn't do this stuff, and I really don't give a shit what people think. This is what's worked really well for us. Is she'll nurse, because right now it's every 2 hours, right? Sometimes an hour and a half. So hour and a half, 2 hours, he's nursing and sleeping. So we have the DocaTot in the middle of us. She'll nurse, and right after she nurses, she'll lay him right in the middle of that. And then what I do is I try and give her relief 1 or 2 times in the night. So if he gets fussy or needs a diaper change in the middle of the night, I'll just pick him up. I'll go change him. Then I'll put him on my chest, because if I put him on my chest, I can put him out no matter what kind of mood he's in. And so then I'll normally let him fall asleep on me. Once he falls asleep on me, I drop him over in the DocaTot, and then he's in there. And then Katrina gets the next rotation. And so this is how we've been able to manage. Like, I've been getting great sleep. I mean, as great as sleep as you can with a baby waking up every 2 hours. I think that's inevitable. Anybody who's going through that, even if you have the best kid in the world who sleeps well, they got to be fed at the very beginning every 2 hours.
Now, do you wait for him to just wake up, or do you guys wake him up, or does he cry?
So he's been actually pretty consistent. Originally, the first couple of days, we had to wake him up because he was still in that I should be in the womb, and just wanting to sleep, and because he was
wake up, boy, you got to gain some mass.
And I had to syringe feed him. So the first few days, we were really concerned about him getting weight on, her milk being let down fast enough, and him getting enough nutrients that the routine was she would get him to, teach him to latch and nurse a little bit, and then hand him to me, and then I would go rock him, and I would syringe feed him anywhere from 3 to 9 cc's, depending on how much he would take, and we'd have to wake him up. Now he's already on this, it's like clockwork, 90 minutes to 2 hours. He wakes up, he wants to be fed and or changed, and then right back into it.
It is a demanding job nursing a baby.
Right.
You're literally attached to the kid all day, all night.
And I the first couple of days I felt really bad for my girl, because I could tell that, I think every woman has a different experience with the latching on process and the letting down of the milk and all that stuff. And we actually, had a pretty easy ride. I mean, he latched on right away. She let down her milk pretty fast.
That's awesome.
We never had to supplement with formula or anything, so it's been.
Dude, the whole nursing process is so trippy. Do you know that women, like, they'll go let's say when Katrina's feeling like going grocery shopping or whatever, even though she's still nursing. If she's out in the store and she hears just a baby crying in the background,
it's already happened.
Yeah,
it's already
leaking.
Milk starts coming out.
It's already happened.
How crazy is that?
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
She'll be sitting on the bed or something like that, and he'll wake up, start crying, and I'll pick him up, and then all of a sudden her nipples start going.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so weird.
Built-in sensors.
Yeah, it's so weird. Although the other thing that would trip me out too is how other women treat a pregnant woman, and then how other women treat a woman with a newborn. It's like women don't know each other. You're at the store, but if she's pregnant or has a newborn, women just banned. They're like, "Oh, you want to go to the bathroom? You cut in line first, or we'll help you out." Or it's like crazy. I remember watching this with strangers just wanting to help. Just women we didn't know, just trying to help out. It was really cool.
Well, there's something about when you bond with people that have gone through something that is really challenging. And I know I'm going to get crucified for making this comparison, but it's just what comes to mind for me and my experience, because I've never experienced anything like birth and, having a child. But I was surprised by the camaraderie that was amongst all the competitors. I thought we're competitive against each other. There would be a lot of animosity or whatever. But because I think there's so much sacrifice that leads up to that, that if someone's here on stage, that they've spent, at least years potentially sacrificing and discipline and consistency and hard days and sacrifice, like to get to that point. That there's this different respect that everybody has for each other that I think is pretty neat, that I didn't assume. It's like that on a whole nother level, right? I think that's what it is mothers see other mothers and like, oh man, I feel you. It's like this subtle virtual fucking fist bump they give each other.
Oh, dude, I got to call you out on something. I think this is
recognized game.
I think this is absolutely hilarious. So on older podcasts, you were talking about how you're happy that you're having a child later on because you're more mature and you guys are ready, which I totally agree with. And then you say things like, if I was in my 20s and I had a kid, I think I would have spoiled him too much because of, insecure about growing up poor, this and that, and I'm not going to do that this time. You guys drove home from the hospital in a limo. A limo with a red carpet.
What are you setting himself?
Yeah, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
He doesn't know
He
that
just got
yet.
bored.
He doesn't know that
He's
yet.
going to see pictures.
He's got like a chauffeur.
So
there.
that is actually.
Oh, this is Jeeves.
That was actually. Here's the funny part and right now he's already got his set of Vans. He's got his Timberlands. He's got his he's got his J's.
No,
but here's the deal, bro. I haven't fucking bought none of that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't buy the shoes. I didn't pay for the limo. That's a family tradition in her family.
Yeah, no, you told me about that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
That's
a family
cool.
tradition.
So who gets that? Is it mom that gets that for the?
So it's the other brothers and sisters all get together.
Oh, that's nice.
They've got so many brothers and sisters in the family that all the rest of the family pitch in and they.
That's a nice tradition.
It is. It's a cool. Different tradition, I think, that I don't know anybody else.
So you weren't even behind that.
No, I knew it was going to happen.
Okay,
because mom,
I thought for sure you were behind
filled me in on it, but no, I
thought it was funny because I saw the picture.
Exactly.
I texted him out.
Such an Adam.
Well,
move.
every one of my friends totally thought it was me, and it was just like, of course, you drove your kid home in a limo. And
But as far as the spoiling is concerned, that's a great point you bring up because that's something I had to deal with as well. My kids were the first grandkids on both sides, and I had to have conversations with people because although I wasn't spoiling them, they could still get that sense of like I get whatever I want because aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa give me whatever I want. So I started saying things like, it's his birthday. I'm only going to let him get 2 toys. So 2 of you choose to get him a toy. That's fine. The rest of you donate to his 529 plan, which is his college investment plan,
we did a similar thing.
Yeah, because first off, they can't play with all that shit. They can't possibly wear all those clothes. No. So it's just not practical anyway. Plus, I don't want I don't want my kids to think that they could just because they ask for something or they want something. I want them to learn.
It happens.
Yeah, I want them to learn that they have to
100%. I'm already on the same page, dude. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna open him up an account like that, and it's just ask my family like, hey, for when it comes to his birthdays and stuff. I honestly would rather be the one who gets most of the gifts, dude. Where it comes to, because I know what he wants or what he needs. I'd rather family just like, hey, deposit, send a card. And send money into his,
and then I'll buy something or whatever.
Yeah, and I'd way rather do that. So I know it'll be a little bit of a challenge.
You guys have such a big family. And very loving.
Then you get the uncle that buys him a Power Wheel, and you're like, "Come on,
bro!"
When he's like 4 months old.
No, my mom and her husband have already fucking reserved that already for his 1-year birthday. Like, because they.
Oh my god, they already put a request in.
Oh yeah, no, they already sent me the link. We're buying this. Don't let anybody else buy this. This is what our gift for him for his 1-year birthday.
Well,
it's the white Range Rover.
Oh my god,
to match his mom's. I'm like, I'm like, Jesus.
That is so funny.
That's great.
I told you guys about the studies on the style of parenting that tends to produce the best results in terms of kids that grow up to not get into trouble, don't get addicted to drugs, who are happy and with their lives and all that stuff. And it was parents who have high discipline, but also who display a lot of love. It's both. One without the other doesn't work very well, especially discipline without love. That one actually is the worst. When you have a high discipline with no love, kids, the depression and anxiety rate and drug abuse rate is much higher. but you have high discipline and high love. Like you're strict. Don't, here's the deal. You eat your dinner, you take your dish, you put it away, whatever. Here's your chores. But then at the same time, I love you, let them know how much you love them, spend quality time with them. That produces the absolute best results. So that's, ever since hearing that, and that's always been what I've tried to do. But ever since hearing that, I've really, it given me much more confidence in the discipline part. Because the hard part with discipline is if you discipline them hard, you feel bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You start to feel bad for your kid or whatever.
But it's for their best interest.
It is.
And so you just got to keep that top of mind.
Dude,
I know it is. Like it's a time-tested formula that I think we get away from a lot of times because of, whatever book is out there at the time. But I mean, if you could just stick to your guns.
That's it.
I got to switch you gears from the child talk. I felt because I did have something I wanted to bring up that I think is crazy. I talked about on the podcast, I don't know how long ago it was, but I brought up that I really think that we're heading in the direction of the movie Surrogates with Bruce Willis. And one of those that haven't seen the movie, it's, basically everybody in the real world is plugged into a virtual world, and you have an avatar that you can do all the same things that you would do in the real world. It's just like an avatar version of you, but you can change the color of their hair, the way they look, their dress, and you can acquire more money, and everything is like real life, but it's in this virtual sense. And I saw this article, I think Jackie shared it, that just confirms that we're heading in this direction, that I can't believe this is happening. Or yes, I can. I thought it would happen before. It's insane to actually see it unfolding, which is what's becoming popular are these companies that are selling digital clothes. And you don't actually get any clothes. You pay X amount of dollars for this designer jacket, jeans, whatever like that, and they virtually put it on a Instagram image of you, and then so you can post on Instagram. So
you never really wear them.
You never really wear them. And you never even see them.
And they can make them fit really good.
Taking the shreds model to the X degree here. Huh?
Yeah, I know that's well. I mean, fuck. I mean, we've been photoshopping models and adjusting them and doing shit anyway. Why not put the clothes on them, make it look perfect, buy this sweater.
It's a big fake display of your real life anyways.
It's a matter of time before the models are not even real. Yeah. That is what's going to happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying is this is the step in that direction of soon the avatar won't even really be you. You'll, pay for an upgrade hair and face and look all different, and it's like it's not even you, it's just virtual you.
Bro, end of times are near, man. Dude. There's that, and then there's also, so you want to talk about end of times, a sign of the end of times. Do you know that KFC just released a chicken sandwich made with Cheetos?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, bro.
I did see that.
It's a fucking chicken sandwich with Cheetos, bro, inside of it.
In it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, dude.
They're just like, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think that they've understood now that they should have stoners create their food for them.
That's what it is.
Because
they must have got a lot of letters.
I guarantee you they're going to sell a shit ton
So
of
when I was in high school, that was when Fire Cheetos came on the scene. They didn't exist. It was right when at the end of high school. I might have been even out a year or two. I don't remember. It was around that time when Fire Cheetos came out. And the popular thing to do was to open the bag of Fire Cheetos and then pour nacho cheese in the bag and eat those like that.
Oh, yeah.
God, people did that.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of those. You saw Taco Bell was the first to do this with Dorito shell tacos. And, I was wondering about that combination thing because I could see, it was a popular one when I was in college, at Wendy's, they would take fries, they would dip it in the Frosty.
Oh, that's been around for
totally a thing.
I've been doing that since I was a kid. That's
I'm wondering how they haven't marketed that. That's crazy.
It is funny.
Everybody does that.
I've been doing that for a long time. I can't believe they haven't marketed that either. I've never seen a commercial or anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next, man?
I don't know.
Gross.
It's appalling.
This quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. First question is from Daniel Pass 98. all other factors considered equal, is it better to add activity or decrease calories to preserve the most muscle when in a deficit?
Ooh, this is a good question.
Isn't it? I feel like this is a very common scenario that people are in when they're like, okay, I want to get leaner. Which one should I do? Should I cut my calories or should I move more and burn more calories?
The shitty part is that the beginning of this answer is the same to almost every question that we answer. That everybody drives everybody nuts. It just depends. Yeah, it does. And what it depends on though is where you're currently at. Because one, if you're already kind of an active, moving a lot, working out on a very regular basis, to ask to do more activity may be really challenging. And you always got to be thinking like, whatever it is I decide, whether it be to restrict calories or to add activity, you want whichever one is the most sustainable. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a place where you're pretty low calorie already, and then you're thinking, okay, I don't want to move more, I'm just going to restrict calories, but you're already at a low calorie intake, like let's say 1,500 or 1,700, and now you're going to restrict down to 1,200 or 1,300. Well, sure, you can get lean doing that, but then the problem is, how sustainable is that long term for you? And then the same thing goes for the activity level. If you decide, okay, I'm going to ramp up the activity level, but you're already at 7 days a week of training an hour a day, now you're going to add an hour of cardio every day, and so that's your decision to continue leaning out, how sustainable that is. So I'm always, with clients, I'm actually always playing with both. Like first, when we start off, before we go into a cut, I'm trying to ramp their metabolism up as high as I can. I want to get it to a point where they look at me and they're like, Adam, this is a lot of food and I can't believe that we're eating this much. And yeah, so what? We're not losing any weight, but we're not gaining any weight. And I've got you eating this many calories and it's a lot for you. That's a good place to be and to start restricting. And so I'll start there, right? And then the same thing goes with how I do movement with clients. It's all about walking first and just creating consistency with their steps, because I know that just getting someone to do a walk a day is much easier than to expect them to get on a piece of cardio for an hour and get after it with moderate to high intensity. So, I really think it's a fine juggle between the two of them together.
Yeah, I don't think I could have communicated it any better than Adam just did right now. That's 100% what you need to look at. Cutting calories and or increasing activity, if you go beyond a certain point, you'll start to experience diminishing returns. So if you're that person who's very active and you think, I'm going to become more active, at some point you'll get less and less back for the amount of effort that you're putting into all of this activity. And you don't want to be in a situation like that. You don't want to be in a situation where you're putting in, a lot of effort and you're getting very, very little in back in return, because, as Adam said, you're not going to be able to maintain it. And so if your calories are really low and you cut them even more, every time you cut, the lower your calories are, every time you cut from the low-calorie standpoint, you're going to get less and less results in return. And then if you keep pushing it, your body will start to pare down muscle to slow down your metabolism. The same is true for increasing activity. If you keep pushing activity past a certain point, if you're not active at all, and 30 minutes of cardio every single day will give you some nice return. Mm-hmm. If you're doing an hour and a half of cardio every single day, adding another 30 minutes of cardio, you're going to get very little back. And in fact, you may get a loss of muscle mass again because your body is trying to adapt its metabolism to become more efficient. So you really have to juggle things out. Now, the real question is, how do I know which one is right for me? Well, this is extremely individual, but I think what Adam said was really good is to think to yourself, which one is more sustainable for me? I think that's a good rule of thumb. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's the best general answer we could possibly give on this podcast. So look at your entire program, look at your whole diet, and think to yourself like, okay, can I do with another 300 calorie deficit for a long period of time or maybe forever? And if you think to yourself like, no, I'm already eating so little and I'm already not having enough energy to work out, I'm already feeling super hungry most of the time, I'm having issues with food cravings that are really, really strong, then you may want to go the activity route. And then same for activity. If you're thinking to yourself, I want to add more activity and you're having trouble fitting it in your schedule, or you're thinking to yourself like, my joints are sore, I'm tired, I'm beat, I hit the pillow at 9 p.m. and I am out, and then I wake up at freaking 8 a.m. but I'm still exhausted. Activity may not be the right thing for you. And there's a third thing here that we're not talking about. The third thing is trying to get your metabolism to become faster so that you can get leaner as a result of the faster metabolism. There's a third thing there. So if you're looking at all these things and you're saying, okay, my calories are great. If I go any lower, I don't think I'm going to be happy. My activity is great. I don't want to add more activity, but I still want to get leaner. Like, what can I do? The most sustainable thing you could possibly do to get leaner is to give yourself a faster metabolism.
Build some muscle.
That's it. So the third option would be look at your workout programming and maybe go through a phase where you're focused entirely on trying to build lean body mass. And so rather than saying, I'm going to lose body fat right now, say, okay, for the next 6 weeks, I'm not going to worry about getting leaner. My goal is to maintain my body fat percentage and gain a couple pounds or a few pounds of lean body mass. Then at the end of that 6-week period, you may be burning 200 to 300 more calories a day. Well, guess what? Now you don't have to cut calories or increase activity. Your metabolism is doing the work for you. That's the third option I think people overlook. It's a longer option, but if you want to talk about sustainability, I can't think of something more sustainable than just having a faster metabolism. And that would be attacking your routine from a muscle building, strength building standpoint. In fact, I brought this up on a previous episode. Another study came out comparing resistance training to cardio for fat loss, and the fat loss was comparable, but there was one place where the fat loss was better with the resistance training, and that was with the heart. There was actually greater heart health benefits from the weight training, and the researchers concluded it was because of the faster metabolism. So that's that third option that I think most people should look to first. Like, okay, I want to get leaner, don't want to cut my calories, don't want to move more. How about if I just build some muscle? It's going to take a little bit of time, but how about if I do some really good workout programming, get stronger, build some muscle? That'll make it 6 weeks from now, it'll make it a lot easier to get leaner.
Next question is from the Simply Joey. You guys have talked a lot about BCAAs and how they aren't useful for most people, but what are your guys' thoughts on EAAs? Any benefit or just another BS product?
Yeah, it's a matter of time before they switch their focus from branched amino acids to...
essential amino acids?
So the essential amino acids are amino acids that you have to consume in food. They're essential in your diet because your body cannot make...
And you're getting them from food.
You have to. Well, yeah, and you have to. They're essential. If you don't eat complete proteins, this is why protein is an essential macronutrient. You cannot survive if you have no protein or if you have too low of protein for forever. If you go too long that way, your body at some point will start to break down and you'll get organ failure and a bunch of other shit. Because your body can make some amino acids out of other things you get from food, but there's certain amino acids it just can't make. You have to get them from food, and those are called the essential amino acids. Now, here's the deal. Branched chain amino acids are essential amino acids. They're part of the essential amino acids. The difference is there's more than just the 3 branched chain amino acids. I believe there's 9, if I'm not mistaken, essential amino acids. So what they're showing is, some studies came out. Again, this is what we're really good at in the fitness industry. Studies came out that showed that, post-workout, when you consume protein, there's a spike in protein synthesis. Does that necessarily mean you're going to build more muscle? We don't know. We're kind of splitting hairs. But nonetheless, there's a spike in protein synthesis when you eat protein. So what the researchers found was, hey, you don't need complete proteins post-workout to get that spike. All you need are the essential amino acids. Supplement companies got wind of this study, and the next thing you know, branched amino acids aren't what your body needs post-workout. It's essential amino acids, which contain the branched amino acids. Here's the reality. If you're eating enough protein, supplementing with any amino acids is a waste of your money and your time. Yeah.
Completely.
And some of here's the thing.
And not to mention, too, the things that you'd always would rather get it from real food no matter what. I mean, even you would always rather go get, if I had a choice of supplementing 40 grams of protein from a protein powder or from a branched chain amino acid supplement, I would much rather get that from 10 ounces of chicken or steak, because there's other things that you get with that are essential and good to your body aside from just the protein and the building muscle side that everybody focuses on so much. So it would be an emergency type of supplement that I would have on hand. If I probably got some BCAAs and stuff like that are in my cupboard, that have been in my cupboard for 3 years. Because
I just think, people do this stuff because they think adding extra, like to whatever they're eating already, is going to give them this performance boost versus being balanced and tracking and figuring out exactly like what nutrients you're already dealing with. I think that there's just like they're not informed enough with their own current diet to where if you just did that, like you're going to have a world of difference by doing that.
You know, this reminds me of years ago when people started supplementing with calcium for bone loss because we said, some women experience osteopenia or osteoporosis, and so people, supplement companies just deduced, your body needs calcium to build bone. So what we'll do is we'll just start having people supplement with a shit ton of calcium. Mm-hmm. Didn't do anything. In fact, it actually could potentially cause calcium deposits in your arteries and cause some problems. And that's because if the signal to build bone is not there, take all the calcium you want, ain't gonna do shit. Same thing with your muscle. If the signal to build muscle isn't there, all the protein in the world and amino acids isn't gonna do shit. And if you hit a certain amount of protein, throw more protein at it, you ain't going to build more muscle. And we already know what that number is, by the way. Studies are relatively conclusive. It's about, generally speaking, for lean people, about a gram of protein per pound of body weight. That might be overshooting a little bit, but that's about it. Any more than that ain't going to give you any benefit. Throwing more amino acids on top of that, a complete waste of money and a complete waste of time. You know who benefits from supplementing with essential amino acids? People who have a very low protein intake. So if you're a vegan
and are like endurance athletes,
maybe during, it's probably better. I'll be honest with you. Instead of drinking essential amino acids while you're doing your marathon, why don't you take whey protein and put about 5 grams of just a tiny amount of protein? You'll get all the essential amino acids and then some, and it'll save your money. Right. Really, it doesn't. And they get more of the benefits from consuming things like carbohydrates, and electrolytes, rather than amino acids. So, but yeah, if you have really low protein, then you'll benefit from supplementing with essential amino acids. So I've had vegan clients who, when they first become vegan, are kind of figuring out, where to get their protein from, what foods they should eat to get the right amount of nutrients. Because to eat vegan requires a little bit more planning than to eat omnivore. And those people would benefit sometimes because I'd look at their food intake and I'd say, okay, well, you only consumed 40 grams of protein yesterday or 30 grams of protein yesterday, which is enough to keep you from
dying.
Yeah, you're going to be fine. But if you want to maximize muscle building and whatnot, we can either supplement with a vegan protein, which is probably better, or if you want to go the route of not taking a protein powder, then you could go with just essential amino acids. And what they would do is just take them with meals. But it's so funny. Amino acids were probably some of the first supplements ever sold to the fitness and muscle building world. Like way back in the day, it was protein powders, which used to be basically non-fat dry milk that they would flavor. That's what protein powders used to be, which they're not that far off from that now anyway. And then, Weider and all those, Twin Lab and all those old school supplement companies were like, oh, proteins have amino acids. What if we sold amino acid tablets? And then bodybuilders, who are the grand experimenters of the fitness world, and bodybuilders always have had this attitude of if some is good, more is better. They would supplement with amino acids in between meals, thinking that they were going to do something, but it does nothing. It does nothing for you. It's a total waste of money. Studies that show that it does something here and there. Look deeper into studies. Look at studies that compare people who have a good protein intake to people who have good protein intake and take amino acids, and what you'll find is there's no difference. So look a little deeper, because there are studies that they can twist, and protein synthesis spikes when people supplement with amino acids. All right, well, look closer. How much protein were they consuming? Does that equate to more muscle, better performance? Oh, it doesn't. Then I'm not going to spend $40 on watermelon flavored, amino acid powder.
Next question is from Colby Sorensen, 23. How do you combat the feeling of hypocrisy when enjoying food or drinks that aren't normally in the routine? I like to stay dialed in, but also allow myself freedom, and sometimes I feel guilty for overindulging.
The good old
tell us,
feeling of
Justin.
guilt.
Yeah. Well, here's how you deal with it. You just don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I there's something to like obviously restricting, and I think it's just discipline in general. Like you have self-governing. So I have control over, my pursuits, my goals, what I'm currently doing. So if it doesn't fit within your drive towards your goals, you just keep it top of mind. And I don't have any problem with being like, I'm going to avoid this. And, this is just, a phase that I'm in, or, maybe this is a special occasion. I'm going to treat myself. I have to release that guilt of like, oh, this is going to set me back, or, that's the strongest thing. I know a lot of clients, they deal with that and they want to punish themselves like immediately afterwards. So.
This feeling right here is what contributes the most to bad relationships with food.
Right. I think the first step in this question that you have to address is that there is no hypocrisy. You're not being a hypocrite because
you're setting those terms.
Yeah, you're not being a hypocrite because you're a health and fitness person and you care about working out and getting in shape, and then you occasionally have foods that, for like Sal likes to say, for the hedonistic value only. Like that doesn't make you hypocritical. So you got to get that out of your vocabulary, that just because you do that. I think that what keeps me from feeling guilty is when I binge versus enjoying something. I have these two levels of enjoying food for its flavor and taste, and that is, yesterday is a good example of when I have good balance. I was saying how we keep getting gifts and random stuff. Well, somebody sent us a box of chocolate strawberries. Amazing, right? And I had two. That was it. There's times in my life where I could sit down and I could crush the whole thing. And so when I have two, I don't feel guilty at all. And it tasted amazing. It was great. I enjoyed it. I had a great workout yesterday. It's no big deal. Didn't even think twice about it. But there's also times when I'm eating mindlessly and I'm smoked a joint and I'm watching a movie and I sit down and I could probably crush the whole box of chocolate strawberries. Now I feel guilty because I did that, and not guilty because it was a bad food, because that's a bad behavior. That's a bad relationship with food. I went beyond enjoying it to being not present and just stuffing myself until my body finally said, "Oh, that's enough." That to me is that's a bad behavior, and that to me I'll be disappointed in myself by doing something like that. So. But if you were somebody who every once in a while enjoys food because you want to enjoy the flavor of it, there's nothing hypocritical about that whatsoever.
No. I want to touch on binging for a second. The feeling of binging and overeating in that state of mind, which is the one that tends to lead to the guilty feelings. The conscious, aware, I'm eating this because I'm enjoying it, process doesn't typically turn into guilt, right? Because you're aware and you're conscious of it. And, I'm going to enjoy this piece of cake for the taste of it. And I know, and you're not necessarily consciously thinking this. You're just aware of all these things. You know that it's mainly for the enjoyment and the taste, and you eat a little piece and then you get over it. The binging aspect is what tends to lead to the guilt. And that's because binging is not about having. Binging is about wanting. So if you think about when you binge on food, what are the characteristics of a binge? Fast eating. You can't eat it fast enough.
Right.
Now, the reason why you're eating it so fast is not because you have it. It's because you want it. It's the wanting that you're after. So much so that one is in your mouth and you're chewing, and you're not even thinking about enjoying what you're chewing. You're thinking about, I want the next one. So binging is totally different. It's all about the want. So the reason why I wanted to communicate that is hopefully some people hear that and it sparks a little bit of self-awareness in them. Because I remember when I first kind of came onto that, and it totally made sense to me, and it stopped any potential binging behaviors that I would have. And it also worked very well for my clients, because I would find that I would think to myself, like, how silly.
Yeah.
It's not about having the food. It's about wanting it. And in reality, I just want to have some of it. And then when I did that, I was like, oh, I don't want any more. Like, I'm over it. It was all about the wanting before. And that's what, now guilt, the sense and feeling of guilt itself, it's not necessarily a bad feeling. There's a reason why humans feel guilt. And it's because guilt can be a teacher. It can teach us to self-reflect and change our behaviors. Now, if guilt doesn't do that for you, if all you do is feel shitty about yourself and then punish yourself as a result, you're going to strengthen the bad behavior, because then you're going to split yourself up into two people: the person who's doing the bad behavior and the parent-like figure that you've created within your own ego that's like, shame, shame, shame. You need to be punished with 40 minutes of high-intensity cardio and fasting for the next 15 hours and super, super restrict for the next week or whatever, which this just leads to another rebellion by the other side, which turns into another binge. So if you feel guilt, what you need to do is acknowledge it. So actually be okay with it. Like, okay, I have this feeling. Don't identify with it. It's not who you are. It's just a feeling that you have. And then allow it to become your teacher. And the way it's going to be is like this. It's probably not going to be like, I'm never going to eat that food again. It might be, but usually not. What it should turn into is, next time I have that food, I'm going to have less and I'm going to enjoy it for its hedonistic taste value and be aware of it. And change your behavior moving forward. That's how you use guilt, rather than guilt taking control of you.
Well, and to your point too, try and unpack it. Like, so it took me a long time to kind of figure out, like, why do I do that? Like, why? And it goes all the way back to childhood for me. So in our house, there was always, 4 or 5 kids and 2 adults, and we didn't have a lot of things. I've talked about that many times before. Every once in a while, we'd have things like a bag of Doritos, or we'd have Ho-Hos or Twinkies or ice cream but when there's 7 people that are eating from it, you normally get one shot at it in my house.
So you're go first.
Yeah. So I would, and when I was a kid like that, I would get a hold of one of those things and I would try and eat as much as I possibly could before someone else in the house got a hold of it, because they would do the same thing too. And once it was gone, it was gone. We didn't have an abundance of it. It wasn't like my mom always had tons of treats, but when we did have treats, it was like you had to get it and you had to consume all of it if you wanted more than one serving of it. And so as a child, as a kid, I don't know any better, right? And we weren't really policed like that when we were kids. My parents didn't really tell us we could or couldn't do that. And so that was a trained and learned behavior that I had as a young kid that carried over into adulthood. And when it comes out is when I'm not present, when I'm distracted, when I'm watching TV or doing something else. I just do it. And it's the weirdest thing ever, because I'm an older man, and I still push myself to eating so much that it makes my stomach feel. And to, like we were saying too, so I was like, I'll be chewing on something, I'll be chewing on a candy or chewing on a bite of something, and I'm already stuffing the next bite before I'm finished with that.
Yeah, it's like ready. It's like hand standing there ready.
Yeah, like that just shows you that's a binge thing. Like I'm not even enjoying the awesome flavor stuff and the shit that's going on in my head by enjoying that single bite at a time. And I'm ready to shovel the next one in. Like there's the red flag for me that, this is an old behavior that I've had from a young kid all the way up to, teenage years to even young adulthood before I connected those dots. So if you're somebody who eats like that, try and unpack it and figure out where it comes from, make yourself more aware of that, so then you catch it while it happens. And I've been trying to practice this for many years and still catch myself doing it. And I've had little hacks of where I'll get like a baby size spoon. It's just stupid. I do weird shit like this. I'll do like a tiny little spoon, and
you're putting barriers between you and the behavior, and that's a very smart approach.
Yeah, or if I wanted candy or wanted something like that, I take the handful that I'm going to eat, or put it in a little Ziploc bag. I did this a lot when I was like in weighing and measuring a lot of time. I would say, okay, I'm going to allow myself 200 calories of this treat, and when it's gone, it's gone. So then I would do things like that. That helped me first curb that habit or that behavior that I had as a kid, and then you hopefully can work on it to where now I'm at a point where there's all kinds of stuff in our house because people have been bringing us things, and I don't go over like the strawberries and stuff. They're in there. I haven't binged on it or anything.
There's got to be, a root to that, at some point. And I think I don't know, like my brain always tends to think like you need to talk to somebody about something else. It's probably like triggered by something else going on where you're not feeling so great about yourself, and you're punishing yourself subconsciously. And really, it's not the food. It's something else that it needs to be unveiled.
Right, it's distracting you from it.
Yeah, so it would be to your benefit probably to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah, no, it's never about the food. If it was only about the food and just the food and nothing attached to it, then we wouldn't have these issues.
Well, then you would do what I said. You would take a bite and you would sit there and you would
savor it, and enjoy
savor it and relish in the moment for 15 minutes before you took the next bite.
You wouldn't hurt yourself with it.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, why would you hurt yourself? So think about it this way too. Consider this. Oftentimes, these kind of behaviors that cause this guilt around food or this feeling of hypocrisy, the things that lead to this lack of awareness are bad feelings. So I'm going to use a general one. Let's say you're an anxious person and you've learned to distract yourself from your anxiety with food because food tastes good and it makes you feel good. So you're anxious, you feel really anxious, you eat, and the anxiety makes you feel bad, right? So then you eat to stop feeling anxious. But now after you're done, you're judging yourself, you feel guilty, and you feel like a hypocrite. Now those feelings, what do you think those are going to cause that person to feel who has a tendency towards anxiety? More anxiety, which is going to lead right back to that
spiral.
And that's why it's a circular behavior. That's why it's a repeating type of behavior. So remember this: if you start to consider yourself a hypocrite, feel real guilt, think you're a terrible person, so you're identifying with this behavior. Don't ever identify, but if you start to identify with the behavior and you start to feel this way, consider this: you are adding an additional layer to whatever layer you're working through. So now, not only are you working through the layer of why do I find comfort in food and then feel guilty about it, now you're adding another layer. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a hypocrite. I feel terrible about myself.
Right.
So now you got 2 fucking layers or more to get through. So step number 1, eliminate that layer. Just get rid of it. Don't feel, okay, fine, you feel a little guilt, but don't identify with it. Don't think to yourself, I'm a terrible hypocrite. Just observe it, become more self-aware, and then move on from there. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but the only way it's going to happen is if you do it in that way. Because if you maintain that other layer on top of it, if you never identify the trigger, which may be anxiety, depression, boredom, whatever, if you never identify those things, this circular pattern will continue forever or possibly even get worse. So you got to eliminate that layer. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Next question is from O'Borer. How did you add value before selling a potential client? By taking them through the prime test, explaining a plan?
Adding value.
I love this right here. This is like when I got really good at the squat assessment, because back then we didn't have something as elaborate as the prime test that we have. I think what we have in MAPS Prime is far better than just a basic squat assessment, but it was still, the squat assessment was an extremely powerful tool for me, especially after I took my NASM CES. Once I became a corrective exercise specialist, it really took me to a whole new level of programming as a trainer. And when I would present my training, I became a lot more successful at selling packages because of this. And a lot of the times, the presentation sounds like this. It's you take somebody through like the prime test, and of course, as you go through the prime test, there's 3 different zones that we break down, and there's 90% of the people you take this test are going to fail at least one, if not all 3 zones, which means they have some sort of dysfunction going on or some sort of an imbalance or a poor connection to muscles. And so once you can show them that and address them that, when you explain the way you're going to program for them, you can explain to them. And this is like, let's talk about because most people come in and they're like, almost everybody is, I either want to lose fat, that's most people want to lose body fat, or they want to build muscle, or they want to look better or feel better. Very few clients will ever come to you and say, hey, I want to have good posture, I want to move better. But once you take them through that and you break down their movement and their poor posture and how important that is and the potential of probably relieving chronic pain, which most of them will have, and then you explain to them that, check this out, not only are we going to design a program to lose your 20 pounds you want to lose, or design a program to build that 5 or 10 pounds of muscle, but I'm also going to address all of these imbalances that you have in your body right now, which I know your goal right now may be this, losing X amount or gaining X amount of muscle, but long term, none of that shit matters if you don't feel good and you don't move properly. So I'm going to integrate all these exercises to address all these breakdowns within the program. And you can even be specific, and I would lay out like X, Y, and Z exercises that address whatever said problem they have going on. I'm going to integrate that into our programming. So while we're also losing body fat, we're also going to be addressing all these things, which in my opinion is far more important.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of potential clients look into your, or they may have shopped around before, right? They may have heard other trainers telling them, they're going to get to the root of the problem. They're going to, lose 30 pounds in, 2 months or, as quickly as possible. And, they're getting a lot of these answers that they're feeding them what they want to hear, where your true value is really drawing up something that's really honest. And it's something that's like, even if it's a long, like year-long process, like you're going to tell them honestly and openly that we're going to work on these things. We're going to get through this part. You're going to tell them the benefits as they go along. So you have to really like paint the vision of this and have to be very clear with the process of it. But don't feel like you have to cater to something that they want to hear, because that's not like going to add true value to the experience at all. They're not going to trust you.
This is what I cover when we go and talk to trainers at local gyms. This is the part that I cover. Is really all about adding value. Now, why is it important to add value? Well, people make a buying decision if they think the value of what they're receiving is worth more than the money that they're parting with. Okay, so if somebody doesn't buy your product or hire you as a trainer, it's because it's not worth it to them. That's the bottom line. So adding value is extremely important. And there's really generally a few steps that you want to follow in order to do this. The first step is you have to know what they're there for, and you have to ask them questions and talk about those things, because adding value to one person is going to be different than it's going to be to another person. If I'm talking to somebody whose goal is to build muscle, how I present to them the value that I'm going to provide them in my assessment is going to be different than how I'm going to provide or present my value to somebody who let's say wants to strengthen their low back because they're in pain. So that's number one. You have to go through that process of asking those questions and having a conversation so you know what you want to communicate to them. The second thing is when you do your assessment, which if you're a trainer, you should have a general assessment that you do, or you can use the prime test. Don't just do the assessment for yourself. And what I mean by that is a lot of trainers they'll do an assessment and then they'll take notes and they'll write them down, but they won't really communicate them to the client very well. And they think that, this is my assessment, this is how I'm going to train my client. Well, first off, assessments are always happening. Every time you train the client, you're doing an assessment. The assessment that you do on the first time before they hire you is for the client. It's not for you. It's for you to identify things that you can do for them, but then communicate to them in ways that they understand. And so here's an important thing that will help you with this. Don't just present features of what you're going to do. Present the benefit to them. And so what I mean by that, and I'll give you a real easy, clear example. Let's say I'm doing an assessment and I notice that this person has upper cross syndrome. They have really bad forward shoulders. And forward shoulders is just like it sounds. Their shoulders roll forward. And I tell them, okay, I've noticed that you have forward shoulder, so we're going to do exercises that strengthen your mid-back to pull your shoulders back. Now, if they have a good idea of how the body works and, maybe they could deduce that it's going to make them feel better, but the average person really doesn't know what the fuck that means. Okay, fine, you're going to help me with my mid-back because I have forward shoulder. You need to explain the benefit to them. You need to explain it to them so they understand it. So after I tell them, I'm going to strengthen these mid-back muscles to pull your shoulders back, now here's what that's going to do for you. Because your shoulders are rolled forward right now, your upper trap muscles, these are these muscles up here, and I'll tap on their neck area, and I'll say, those muscles are trying to stabilize your shoulders all the time. So you may be noticing right now tension in your neck and shoulders that just don't work as well. Maybe they hurt sometimes. And if I say that to someone with forward shoulder, 9 out of 10 times they're going to look at me and be like, oh yes, definitely, I have tightness in my neck. So if we strengthen these mid-back muscles, those muscles will be doing their job. It'll take pressure off these muscles, and your neck is going to feel way less tension, and you're going to stand up taller, better posture, just normally without even having to focus on things. Can you see how that's going to benefit you? Now I've presented what I'm going to do, but also how it's going to benefit them. And the reason why that's important is that's what builds the value, because now they're looking at you and they're thinking of all the benefits they're going to get from your personal training. And if you build enough value and you do it effectively enough, that whatever price you present to them, if the value is high enough, that price is well worth it. And that's the thing. A lot of trainers, especially new trainers, are afraid to present personal training because they think it's so expensive. But the reality is the value that person is going to get for that money far exceeds the cost. And I say this at every time I train trainers is I say, look, think of all the amazing benefits that potential clients could get from just having better fitness and health. Name one aspect of their life that won't improve. And you can't. It improves everything. And once you communicate that effectively to that person, now when you present your $3,000 package of, however many sessions, 50 sessions or whatever, however much it costs, the person's going to be like, done. That's the best investment I could possibly make. So this is very important for you as a personal trainer. But it's not just important for them buying training from you the first time. You need to present value every single time you train them, because think of it this way. For every change that person makes in their lifestyle, because remember, we're dealing with behavior changes. If this person wants to get fit and healthy, they have to change their lifestyle. They really do. They have to change how they eat, how they sleep, their activity levels. These are fundamental behaviors that they engage in on a daily basis. If you're going to convince them to change these behaviors permanently, you better present a shit ton of value. They better understand that, right now I have no activity, but now I'm going to dedicate 3 hours a week of my busy time to the gym. That shit better be worth it.
So you got to know this stuff. And here's the thing, you didn't mention highlighting like how awesome your workouts are, or how quickly I'm going to lose weight, or what your supplement stack's going to look like, or, your printout meal plan, or any of that shit. A life coach could do all that stuff. This is what separates all that from trainers. Trainers need to know. They need to know anatomy. They need to know joint function. They need to know how to address when people are in pain, when they're in poor posture, and they need to be able to know how to navigate through all that stuff.
Which is everybody. And it blows my mind when we travel around and we do these free seminars at gyms. And most everybody that are at these seminars are also listeners of the show. And I always ask, raise your hand if you own Prime or Prime Pro. And it baffles me how many people raise their hand. It's hardly ever anybody. It's maybe a couple people sometimes raise their hand that they do. And if you're a trainer and you're listening and you haven't invested in Prime and Prime Pro, I think it'll be more valuable. And this is what other trainers that have it and use it will tell you, more value than any certification that you'll go out and get. That's how valuable that is. Because what we've done, we've curated all the certifications that we all have experience. Yes, and then showed you how to learn that through these assessments and then apply that to your clients. You learn Prime and Prime Pro like the back of your hand, and then learn how to apply that to your clients, you'll see tremendous value. You'll be able to now provide that to your clients, and it'll make selling personal training a million times easier.
Well, it's crazy if you think about how much money the average person spends on eating out every month, or Starbucks every month, or going to the movies every month. All those things provide value to people, which is why they go and do them all the time. But name one thing that's more valuable than an improvement in your health. Nothing. It'll impact everything positively. If you're a business guy or girl and you're like, I'm all about being successful in my life in business. I want to make more money. I want to make more profits. Getting more fit and healthy, you'll be better. You'll be more effective at your job. You want to be a better parent. Being more fit and healthy, you'll be better at being a better parent. I mean, everything: sex, sleep, friendships, relationships with yourself. So as personal trainers, what you're providing is quite possibly, if you do a good job and if they come and do what you tell them and you work with them well, quite possibly the most valuable thing they could possibly do. Now, that your job is to get them to know that. And so that's why your ability to communicate these things is what's going to make you successful, and your inability to do those things is what will make you unsuccessful as a personal trainer. And I also recommend, go to mindpumpfree.com, and I have a personal trainer guide on there that I wrote. Now, it's basic, but it goes through kind of what I'm talking about in a little bit greater detail. But we have other guides on that as well. We have guides on getting a better squat, building your arms, your legs, getting a better midsection. Make sure you check them out. They're all free guides. You can also find all of us on Instagram. You can find Justin at Mind Pump Justin. You can find Big Daddy Adam at Mind Pump Adam, and you can find me at Mind Pump Sal.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.